Hello. So we were having a conversation, Heavenly Father, about something, and I started to take notes, and then He wants me to share them with you guys. So, how the conversation started. I just remembered asking Him, when I said the text says envy means discontented longing for someone else's advantages, and jealousy means unpleasant suspicion or apprehension of rivalship. So I asked God, I said, I'm confused. Which one is worse? He started off by saying, first off, it's important to note that typically men are thinkers while women are feelers. And then he said, now at one time or another, everyone has experienced the conflicts of envy versus jealousy. Both are covetous, he says, feelings. Wanting something you don't have, or wanting something to hold on to someone, or something you need. During COVID, he said really big, when so many of us are longing for things we don't or can't have, envy and jealousy can be sneaky, he said, drivers of angst, I think is the word that he used. And then I wrote some notes, because he just kept going. He just said, when envious or jealous feelings arise, it's helpful to understand how they differ from each other, so that you can address the root cause of the anxiety that flows from them. Because he said it all stems from anxiety, apparently. So, though jealous and envious both mean covet, only jealousy may be used to mean like possessively suspicious. Jealousy has a possessive element with a component of rivalry, even. It says, you are trying to take what I have or want. Envy is a disconnected longing for someone else's like attributes, possessions, or stature even. Jealousy, in addition to its inherently possessive nature, has an active accusatory fight element to it even. There is a fear of something being taken away. Either a fear that you are losing something you have, or an opportunity to have something is being blocked. Envy is more an unsettled feeling generated by experiencing the go-between, which one is and who wants to be. This is the basis, the theory of humanism, which proposed that for a person's ideal self, i.e. like who they would like to be, is congruent with their actual behavior, self-image. So both states of wanting have an element of conflict, which creates anxiety. Anxiety is an emotion characterized by feelings of tension, worried thoughts, and physical changes like increased blood pressure. It is the experience that arises from conflict about future unavoidable pain, as well as the perceived threat to something we care about. So knowing whether sensations you're experiencing is envy versus jealousy helps to direct the attention toward the core feelings and the source, right? So knowing where the tension's coming from and why it's generating anxiety even. So envy arises from a longing for something you don't have, and jealousy arises from fear of a loss of something you believe you possess or should possess. In both cases, something we care about is at risk, coupled with an absence of control. So the thought process goes something like this. I feel attracted to that thing I want but don't have, or to that person I want to be like but am not. I don't know how to get what I want, and even if I did, I don't believe I could get it. These results turn into feelings like we have no control, and thus creates anxiety. In order to solve anxiety's discomfort and use it as a tool, we have to focus on what is in our control, and what is practical rather than what we wish were um, the case. So focusing on things out of our control always escalates anxiety because we can't do anything productive with the energy. So these are different ways we can look at actual versus perceived control. Actual control can further be broken down into the brain's capacity to control and the mental gymnastics of control. When we talk about the brain's control function, located in the prefrontal cortex, we are referring to executive control, defined in Webster's dictionary even as the ability to carry out goal-directed behavior or using complex mental processes and cognitive abilities, such as working with your memory and your impulse inhibitions. The mental gymnastics of control is more a manipulation of focus, referred to as mindset control. So not only is it actual control of what you are thinking, but it is also a perception of control, a way of believing we are in control simply by where we focus our attention rather than a biological function of the brain. So when dealing with envy versus jealousy, both states of mind involve focusing on something out there, something outside ourselves. This something in of itself does not cause a problem. It is the way we were relating to it, our state of mind regarding that something that is causing the discomfort. So envy or jealousy, when we are in a state of mind with envy, we are focused on something other than ourselves. We do not have control over it. As we established earlier, this is the cause of anxiety, If we were to employ the can control mindset, we would shift our attention to what is within our control. So, for example, we can control where we put our attention. We can control whether we choose to follow negative or positive thoughts. We can control whether we allow ourselves to feel our emotions. We can control whether we succumb to irritability and temper tantrums, or choose the words we say to ourselves and to others. So from a can control mindset, envy can be addressed by shifting focus from that thing, person, situation, what have you, input correct there, that triggers the feeling of not being who we want to be, to imagining what it would feel like to be who we want to be. When you shift your attention to yourself, you reclaim the control. You can bring that feeling back to the present even at that moment and focus attention on ways you already are who you want to be. Once we are feeling better about who we are right now, we can capitalize on that sense of well-being and focus on one next step that would bring us even more into the feeling of being who we want to be. So when we reclaim control, that thing out there that we are feeling badly about has faded into the background. And then the focus is entirely on what is within our control ourselves. When we are in the state of mind of jealousy, our attention focuses on something that has been taken, from us, or is in danger of being taken. You cannot control things outside yourself. people choose to end relationships. Things break, opportunities, come and go. But punting your well-being beyond your control will thus always be a setup for anxiety. So if you briefly focus on what feeling the illusion of having any one of those things brings up in you, you might notice feelings of security, contentment, happiness, excitement, love, etc. Once you identify the feelings you want to have, you can then detangle the feelings from those things by focusing on the feeling in your body. What you will notice is that those things, by focusing on the feeling, you'll notice is that those things aren't actually causing those feelings even. You can have the feeling without that thing, person, experience, being there. You can begin cultivating the feeling inside regardless of whether or not you have specific things, relationships, or experiences. You can take control of how you think about your needs. When you use a can-control mindset to manage your experiences of envy or jealousy, you open yourself to a superpower, the power to harness the energy of negative feelings for your own advantage. It is natural to want to resist bad feelings, or emotions. But when you begin shifting the way you relate to envy and jealousy and turn toward those feelings instead, there is a spring of energy at your fingertips even. So just like with the can-control mindset, we choose where we put our attention. In this case, it is toward the energy of envy or jealousy. With envy, believing that you are not being who you should or could be creates an intense longing to be different. With jealousy, believing that you cannot have what you really want creates an intense feeling of lacking what you need. Both emotions are based on false self assumptions that can be changed. So rather than turning away from the longing and lack, try stepping into it just enough to harness its energy. This works best if you have already done the anxiety reduction process. So it gives you a felt experience of knowing that you can turn negative feelings into positive feelings. Take the intensity of longing, shift it away from not being who you want to be, and direct it toward what you would be doing if you were would be doing, or if you were who you wanted to be. From there, you can take the feeling of being who you want to be. I wrote it twice. I don't know why I'm confused. Sorry. I wrote my notes so fast. So, anyway, the point is that you want to create a clear vision of what you can do to get there. An action plan, per se. Like this delivers a sense of control over your ability to achieve, whatever it is you want, or who even. So which overrides the initial anxiety or not already being it or not already, having it. As stated earlier, the anxiety generated, though, by the emotion is built on a perceived threat to something we care about. When we feel threatened, we usually feel both fear and anger, and that fear and anger can end up fueling some pretty irrational thoughts even. So anger is often the result of pain fueled by the fear that if it continues, we weren't able to handle it. But in anger, the anxiety is about doubting our ability to handle what is to come. So it follows then that with envy and jealousy, there is an element of anger ignited by the fear that you will not be able to handle the pain of, not being or not having, and fearing whether the unfulfilled wanting will ever be alleviated. So anxiety then kicks in and escalates your discomfort. When you allow yourself to think that you can't tolerate what's happening, the more you focus on how intolerable the situation is, the more agitated and upset you become. So the solution here is to stop the downward spiral of anxiety, compounded even by fear. The anxiety is never ending at that point. Then we do this by disentangling over fears and anxiety, from itself. Sometimes simply recognizing that anxiety isn't itself harmful is enough to dial it down to where it can be useful even. So it is a subtle mindset shift from irrational thoughts to more rational thoughts. From I can't handle it to I do not want to handle it, but I can and I will. This is just another example of stepping into a can control mindset. By employing a can control mindset, we control our attention to reduce the anxiety no matter what the cause. So knowing whether your feelings are related to envy versus jealousy does not change the strategy for reducing the anxiety that stems, from it. So knowing the difference simply allows you to hone in on what exactly is making you feel unsteady even. So you can redirect your thinking. Remember, with envy, it is not being, and with jealousy, it is not having. So what you think you need, but redirecting your attention to what we can control is how we cultivate what we actually need. So feelings follow from the attention and actions we choose. So feelings of envy and jealousy are usually traps and distractions even away from the choices that we actually have. So to solve the anxiety these powerful feelings generate, we start by refocusing on what is within our control. So I hope this was helpful and that you have a wonderful day. And I'll talk to you guys soon, okay? Bye.